Hello and welcome to part 2 of this Nevers into France guide. My name is Alex and I'm glad to see you back in this video. In part 1, the link to which you can find in the description, we have grown from a 2-province minor nation subject to Burgundy into one of the most powerful countries in Europe. As I was recording this video chilling out after a series of wars, something happened. If you watched the first part of this video, you may remember that England has placed their heir on my throne using favors. And apparently their own king died without a heir. And now I'm in a war of English succession against Muscovy. This may look like perfect RNG in any other circumstances, but not for this game. Personally, I already have the Never Say Never achievement, so I don't really need to control the French course on the continent directly. But if I were going for this achievement, this right here would mean that I would need to wait for 50 more years before integrating England and getting all this course under my direct control. Since it was Muscovy who declared on us, all my allies have joined this defensive war, and we have more than 3 times the amount of troops than the enemy alliance. It's interesting they have Sweden on their side. It's not often that you see Sweden and Muscovy fighting on the same side. There is no way they're going to take London, which is the war goal. Anyway, I decided to accept this RNG and march into this unexpected war. It turns out that Sweden is a loyal junior partner under Muscovy in a personal union, who also shares the same Orthodox religion with them. And that's when I regret not taking the transfer subject ability from this age. Instead, I've taken the aggressive expansion reduction. And there we go, the Shadow Kingdom incident is finally being resolved. And because I've done absolutely nothing to rein in the Italians, I'm going to lose all the imperial authority I have accumulated. And after 3 years of war, we can finally make peace. I am making this deal very specific. I want to take several provinces from Sweden to make them smaller, so I could possibly transfer them to myself in the next war. And I'm also taking Novgorod, knowing that this will prevent Muscovy from becoming Russia. After releasing Novgorod as a vassal, I give them a few provinces to make them stronger, and also so I don't have to core these myself. Strictly speaking, I didn't need these northern territories for my regional objective of forming France. However, now that I have taken England, France, Muscovy and Sweden out of the race, I am actually well on my way for a World Conquest setup. And this makes me think about going after the Ottomans. If I could attack them now, I could probably deal them some serious damage. However, I don't have a valid casus belli and I'm not going to no-CB into them. I need to find a way to border them somehow, so I can take them out ASAP. Since I'm committed to leading Europe as the Holy Roman Emperor, and because the Protestant Reformation is coming in about 10 years, my second idea group has to be religious. Vassalizing Saluzzo gives me an entry into northern Italy. I've been diligently answering calls to arms by all of my allies, and this particular declaration of war by Austria gives me an interesting opportunity. If I can get for myself a province in the same sea tile as Ottomans, I may be able to fabricate on them. Specifically down here in Istria, so I send the stack of my army to siege it. Austria has occupied Istria for themselves. I've managed to grab Friuli, which is the second best thing. And while the war still goes on, I'm taking a bet to land on the Knights, in the hopes of grabbing this province for myself. But unfortunately, before I could build up any meaningful war score, Austria pieces out, giving me absolutely nothing. And after half a century of trying, still no luck getting the Curia control. Well, at least we can go and beat up France again. As it turns out, I didn't need to release Gascony after all. They have so few provinces under the hostile occupation that I would be better off just going for direct conquest. France and her allies don't stand a chance against me. I can piece out Scotland for a couple of provinces. And soon enough we can take 100% war score from France. The coalition against me keeps growing, but I don't really care. If they declare, I know I will win. Here is the coalition. Will they be brave enough to declare? I don't think so. finally we got a semi-decent heir. Unfortunately, this patch of the game is bugged. Usually, after passing the third reform, you can start expanding the empire by attacking your neighbors. In this patch, however, this casus belli is disabled. So the only way we can increase our imperial authority is with the slow and stable natural growth, which also means we will need to fight the Reformation to keep as many of our princes as possible Catholic. I'm noticing one thing down here in the northern Italy. One province minor Friuli has popped out from the Venetian lands, and I can vassalize it, which gives me the coring range for the Ottomans. I can ask this new vassal of mine to fabricate claims on the northern coast of the Ottomans, and as soon as they do, I will attack. A short while later, Friuli completes the claims. The Ottomans are engaged in a war somewhere in the east, and I think I'm ready to attack. I've been reading all these posts on Reddit about how weak the Ottomans are in the current patch. Looking at them right now, I don't see them being any weaker than before. So, let's go and find out. All I want from this war is a few provinces around Constantinople, so that I can release Byzantium as my vassal and later reconquer its cores. At the start of the war, all my allies are staying close to me. So when an overconfident stack of the Ottoman troops attacks into me, together we're able to win this battle. Soon enough, it is starting to look like we are doing quite well. The enemy forts are falling, and my allies are starting to spread out the map to carpet siege the European part of the Ottoman lands. Castile is doing well in Tunis, which is their main job in this war. However, up here in the north, a single stack of 30,000 Ottoman troops is making all my allies panic. They abandon sieges and run back into the Allied territory as soon as the stack shows up. And alone, I'm not strong enough to defeat it. We still managed to win a few battles and siege a few forts, but very soon my ally armies abandon me and I'm left alone facing the angry Ottomans here. Now, I have two choices. Number one is to loan up, merc up, and fight the Ottomans to the death. Choice number two, grab as much territory as I can, even if it's just one province, and get out of this war fast, before this war damages my economy too much. There is also the matter of the impending Protestant Reformation, which can fire any second now. And I want to be ready to fight the early Protestants as soon as possible, so that I can take out the centers of Reformation before they do too much damage. With Tunis out of the war, I expected the Spanish armies to come and help me, attacking the Ottomans from the southeast, but they never do. So after Constantinople falls, I decide to be prudent and get out of this war, gaining only one province from which I can release Byzantium. Now when I'm stronger, I can come back and fight the Ottomans for a lot of cheap provinces, which are the Byzantium cores. It's now 1507 and the Protestant Reformation is nowhere in sight. Every single country in Europe remains Catholic. After literally sitting on my hands for 5 or 7 years waiting for the Protestant Reformation to fire, I decided to attack France. Of course, I have improved my economy quite a bit, but still 7 years of peace is not something I'm used to. As I fight them, I keep watching like a hawk for any sign of heretics, but there is none. In 1511, the Catholic reform desire is only 75%. I don't think I've seen it this low, ever. This third war with France is ridiculously easy, and soon enough we can peace out for what we want. A coalition is expanding, and I really don't want the Ottomans to join it. So there is only one thing I know what to do here: attack. Both Brandenburg and Castile are hairless right now. I would love to get them as a free PU, but I don't think it's going to happen. Just as I have intended, during the 10 or 15 years of the Ottoman truce, we have grown quite a bit stronger. And now the Ottoman armies are the ones who are staying away from us. I know that when an Ottoman army comes out from the shadows, they've calculated their chances of winning as rather high. So learning from the AI, I don't want to risk it, and I run back to safety. However, I do insist on fighting them on the forts I occupy, and every time it pays off. However, there comes a moment when I feel that my allies become exhausted and lose their will to fight. While the Ottomans have managed to regroup after my first successes and they're starting to push me back. So before I start losing my gains, I decide to peace out. Quick and easy war against Provence with no coalition to speak of. Done. One thing has been bothering me for a few years already, and that's how much I have weakened Muscovy. Poland and Commonwealth have become really aggressive in the latest patches, with the mission tree which takes them far into the eastern territories. And to avoid future problems, I believe it's a good idea to cut them off the expansion path into the east. So what I did here is I attacked into the weakest link, which at this moment is Muscovy and Sweden. And with the help of the swarm of my allies and subjects, it's an easy win. In the peace treaty, I can take enough provinces to prevent the Commonwealth from attacking into Muscovy. In 1525, the Protestant Reformation finally fires up in Frankfurt, and I can move my capital here, in Antwerp. This now means that the Dutch revolts will not happen. Declaring direct on Frankfurt will lose me 3 stability, so instead I fabricate on its ally Trier. Palatinate drags me into the war with Denmark, and because I want them to keep voting for me, I accept. In the middle of this war, 2 more centers of reformation spawn in the lands of my electors. The RNG is not very kind to me this game. The bad news is that neither Saxony nor Brandenburg, where these centers have spawned, have any allies near me. The good news is they are allied to each other, and Saxony has turned Protestant, which means that if I declare on it directly, the aggressive expansion will not be that high with the Catholics. I rush to occupy the 2 provinces where the Reformation centers have spawned, so that my allies don't occupy them. And all I need now is to gain enough war score to piece them out for these 2 provinces. With the help of my allies, with very little action on my side, we accumulate this war score in less than a year. And there we go, the first religious war in Europe is complete. While the secondary centers of information will be relatively easy to convert back into Catholic, the original one, the first one, which had spawned in Frankfurt, will have religious zeal for 30 years. So as soon as my claims on Trier are complete, I immediately declare the second religious war to force religion on Frankfurt. And as soon as my siege of Frankfurt is complete, I sign a separate peace with them, bringing them back into the warm embrace of Catholicism. This makes the most dangerous center of reformation disappear immediately. I allow Palatinate to sign the peace deal with Denmark, and I make my own arrangements with Trier for some money, because I don't want the coalition to grow. While I was busy with all these wars, here in the west, Orléans has declared the war on its former overlord France and won. In fact, it ate what little remained of France. So of course, I went ahead and declared on it immediately. After a super easy and quick war, I can annex it completely. Yes, there will be a large coalition forming, but at this stage, I can only dare them to declare on me. Only now I remember that I have forgotten to enact the Burgundian state government, which gives me 2 extra diplomatic relationships, which is one of the main advantages to forming France as Nevers. I've met all the criteria to form France already a few decades ago, and now in 1532 I finally decide to become France. I've exhausted my previous mission tree, and I already have the Never Say Never's achievement. If you are going for this achievement, of course, you would need to play a little bit more to get all the cores of France on the continent. There is a particularity, let's say, in this version of the game. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intended this way. But when you form France and you don't have any subjects within the French area, you do not get the French strong duchies, which gives you +3 diplomatic relationships. In fact, you don't get strong duchies at all. For now, I decide to complete whatever missions are already available for me. And of course, because we have changed our country tag, the coalition is dissolving. Because the AI has reassessed its chances to win and has updated the formula. As you can see, we have kept our Burgundian state government reform, which is fantastic. While doing all these shenanigans, I've noticed that Austria was hairless, so I placed my own dynasty on the throne with 90 favors. And because we have lost our alliance during the religious wars, now claim their throne and declare a unification war. For my third idea group, I'm going with an easy choice: offensive. After a good 2 or 3 years of intense fighting, we are finally ready to make peace. Because Hungary was a junior PU partner under Austria, I'm getting both countries as my PU, which means that the entire Europe will hate my guts. Given the size of my growing empire, I don't think anyone will have the courage to declare on me. I took this province of French Comté because it's part of the regional French core, and if I were going for the never say never achievement, I would need to own it directly. Almost all of the Holy Roman Empire is in the coalition against me now, and more countries keep joining every day. That's when I decided it would be the perfect time for my third war against the Ottomans. This green monster keeps growing, and I feel the urge to contain it. We have moved well beyond forming France now, and now it's all about the setup for the World Conquest. I'm not gonna lie, it's kinda tiring fighting the Ottomans again and again. But the good news is, each war is easier. As you may have noticed, I don't like overstretching my country. So a couple of years of war, around 50% war score, I'm fine with that. After more than 100 years of trying, we are finally the papal controller. Not that we really need it anymore. The bonuses would have been great early on, but I guess they would still be helpful. Now, at this stage, the game is really freeform. We're now so powerful that we literally cannot do anything wrong. Apart from, of course, doing nothing at all. In these 100 years, we have become really unstoppable. The only fixed priority remaining is to handle these new centers of reformed faith, which keep popping up. After that, the game is really freeform. We're now well set up for the World Conquest, maybe even one faith. I'm starting to very comfortably declare more and more wars, and let's just do a quick overview of what happened over the next few decades. Third Muscovite War, where we have forced Muscovy to give us Sweden as vassal. Fourth Ottoman War, where we got some good territorial gains. A bunch of religious wars, another successful war against the Muscovites. A very good beating for the Ottomans this time. I mean, we're literally unstoppable. And so on. And here you can see the situation on the map in 1639. Blue is everything that we own either directly or via our junior partners in personal unions. We have completely surrounded the Ottomans with our junior partners or with our own territories. We have pretty much annexed what used to be the territory of the Mamluks over here. When Commonwealth was an elective monarchy, we have sponsored our heir, and once they switched to become a monarchy, normal monarchy, we have been able to claim the throne via a massive war. We of course have Hungary and Austria from the previous wars. We have England from a free personal union incident early in the game. We got Sweden from under personal union with Muscovy, and of course we own Novgorod. If I were to continue this game, I would keep pushing down into India for rich trade company lands. I would fight Spain and Portugal, get Africa, and eventually China. This will give me a world conquest by mid to late 1700s. I'm obviously a very new YouTube channel. So you would make my day if you would leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comment section what you think about this video. Thank you. See you soon.